Gavin, please. So I'm going to mention just a few online vices. What is cyberbullying? Anyone? What is cyberbullying?
Okay. By me, I think cyberbullying is anything interfering with comments and how someone who is gonna take it as how you bring it. Like when you post something and you get some emoji comment, I think that is cyberbullying. That is on my side.
Anybody else? Do we agree that was cyberbullying? Is that how you feel when you get cyberbullying? So there's this thing about cancel culture.
What do people do to get cancelled? Because cancel culture is very rampant. Anybody, what is cancel culture? Yes.
They often say words that not threaten but offend a lot of people.
Can I give it a try? In the online space, normally cancel culture happens like when maybe a celebrity or an influential person posts something that the people or the followers don't feel aligned to it. They usually I'll say champion each other to like unfollow them. So that is like cancel so and so, cancel so and so because they say this and this.
Example, Kibe Andrew was cancelled.
Yes,
So,
let's cancel Andrew Kibe. Yeah.
According to me, it means when you post something against their terms and conditions, then you cancel you.
Just to add something, I think it's just inability to accommodate other people's views or even perspectives. Yeah.
everything that has been mentioned is correct. And she has mentioned something about terms and conditions, and I wanted us to explore more on that. So when it comes to our applications or when we are registering on the different social media platforms, do we know what is the age limit, for example, for you to be on Twitter? Anyone? Is there an age limit? If today I was registering for a Twitter account, I will go and they'll ask me my name. Are you sure you're over 18? And I can just put 1990 and whereas I was born in 2000. So is that ethical? What are parents doing to help make sure that their kids are reading the terms and conditions, and what are the terms and conditions on the different apps? What is the age limit? For example, I would say the age limit varies from different countries. If you look at the African countries, the age limit for X and social media has been put as 16 years of age. But when you go to the Western countries, you'll find that that is 18. So why are the restrictions not standard across the board? What makes Africans be allowed on social media by the age of 16, whereas in other countries, but then when you look at the US, it's state by state by state. So some of the things that I want us to also think about, and as we are looking at social media and the space, are the terms and conditions for the apps favorable for kids? How do you know that this person is not an adult or is a child just because it has been indicated? Are you an adult? If they don't take a picture, you can hide and you can just put a year that you weren't born. When it comes to our level of how we get on the apps and who gets to get on the app, what's going on in that space. So these are things that I want us to consistently think about as we continue having these conversations.
Okay, thank you. So I think most social media apps, starting with Facebook, TikTok, and X, I'll say the African context, most of them require for the age of 13. But because we are Kenyans or because we are Africans, we normally don't work with those limits. And we mostly open these accounts for our children, or even the children we are like, we can even use our parents' ID or anything just to be on social media, just to be part of that circle of social media. Yeah.
So the other question I would like to ask is, what is consent? What is consent? Anyone?
Legally, I'd say consent is the ability given to above 18-year-old to allow something to be done to them or for them. Yeah, that's what consent is.
Yes, I'm sure somebody can add, yes?
To consent is like to allow or to give permission to do something.
I want an adult to also answer this question. What is consent?
I'd say consent essentially should be your ability to agree to certain proposals that you make, that you are given the chance to either decline or proceed with what is being taken. It must not necessarily be an adult. In as much as the community of a child might know, they too should have the will of saying yes or no. When you try to become a child and the child is insistent on not wanting to go with you, it's not consensual to them, in as much as we can't communicate it.
The issue of consent, I'd like us to think further about it, because there is online social space, consent looks very different, and I feel like it should be a broad conversation.
I'd add, he said, it's the ability to say yes, and I can cancel anytime. I can withdraw my consent at any point.
Thank you so much.
Consent means a willing agreement between people before they do something. Willing agreement between people before they do something.
I just wanted to add something on consent. I think there's a part we are omitting, informed, because the consent has to be informed. Informed in terms of, just revealing or, concealing, like, everything, because somebody can consent to something, but in terms of, let's say, even take education background, for example, even literacy levels. So you might advantage, this person in terms of that. So there's that aspect of, just making the consent, informed. So revealing, concealing, the do's, don'ts, pros and the cons, so that somebody can, make, a clear decision on something that you're doing. I would also give you maybe one here when you came here, the photographer who's, taking, pictures. I don't think if there's consent in the first place, because we do have kids here, we do have, but consulted, but is it informed in terms of that?
Pictures are being taken during this event. We want to apologize that we did not inform you prior to us taking pictures, but there will be pictures taken.
People have signed, but they needed to unveil.
So you see, in the legal, they will say this is a loophole. But as much as you sign, I should communicate it in person. But just know you gave consent by signing. So that is consent.
So there is informed consent and there is read between the bottom line. And that's why when I say with the social media spaces and everything to do with online, children protection, we need to read between the bottom line. Who is having access to your kids' data? If today your kid was exposed or with Photoshop and Word, how will you be able to take that picture down? How will you be able to take that picture down? Do you know the legal ways in which you're supposed to report? If you were to report, what would be the right reporting procedures? Who would be the person to assist you? There is this misconception, or I wouldn't call it misconception, but rather when people are afraid that when you go to the police will not know what to do with an online crime. But I want us to read more. The DCI has a way where all this is happening, and by the end of this workshop, I want us all to be aware. Like we've been told, we already know 116 is the emergency number. Keep that in mind. As we continue, we'll be throwing tidbits of some of the emergency response and the guidelines that we can be following. So I want us to continue with the next session, but my questions are coming during the breaks, okay? So I want to invite because we're running out of time, I want to make sure that this next session runs timely. So kindly, when you come here, I need you to take your 10-15 minutes, and I will give you a timer and tell you, hey, time's up, Nani. We need to hear from the next person. So kindly, allow me to welcome Eunice Kilondo. She will be presenting for us. Eunice, karibu sana. Okay, I can read her bio once again while we wait for her. So Eunice Kilondo is a technical expert in child protection, child rights advocacy, safeguarding, gender empowerment, and social inclusion. She has over 22 years of experience in the child protection technical space and has extensively provided technical leadership as well as contributed to ensure quality, child protection, participation, safeguarding, advocacy, and the GESI programming. Eunice holds a master's degree in youth and child development and a bachelor's degree in community development and psychology. She has well undertaken various professional courses in her field specialization. Eunice is a seasoned trainer and speaker, you will hear. She is particularly passionate about parenting and strengthening of community-based children protection mechanism. Kindly welcome Eunice.
Thank you very much. And thank you for once more the good introduction. I am humbled. I'm here to just facilitate a discussion on the role of media in prevention, response to protection risks of children online. I'm also here to just refresh our minds. I'm not a comms expert, I'm not a communications person, but by virtue of having interacted in this space for some time, I feel I can facilitate this kind of discussion so that as we leave this room, we are well versed, particularly on our role in protecting children within the online space. Just let me not assume that you know what child protection is all about, or do you? If I asked you what is child protection, because I don't want to run to the role of protecting children and overlook the fact that we need to come to a consensus on what protection is all about, child protection is all about. Who can define child protection? If someone asked you, where are you coming from? I'm coming from a workshop where we were discussing child protection. What is child protection? Just no answer is wrong. Yes?
I can say it's safeguarding children from abuse such as sexual immorality.
Safeguarding children from abuse. And she has given some types of abuse. Who else can give it a try? No answer is wrong, yes?
I would say it's protecting children from environments that cause them harm.
Did you use the word protect? Protecting is protecting.
Shielding them from environments that cause them harm.
Shielding them from environments that cause harm. Very good. Who else has a different yes?
I would say it's inhibiting factors that may cause physical, emotional, or psychological harm to the children.
Doing what to those factors?
Inhibiting them.
Inhibiting factors that cause physical, social, emotional, and psychological harms to children. Very good attempt as well. Very good answers, I must say. Yes, at the back. Sorry, I don't have your name, so.
Ensuring children are safe, respected, and protected.
Ensuring children are safe, respected, and protected. Very, very good answer. Last one. This side, your pile. Anyone here wants to give it a shot? Okay, let's have our brother. Simon.
I would say that a common denominator between children and the elderly is that they are very vulnerable. Thus, having the right that, it would be important to be able to ensure that they exist in environments that can cater for them and nurture them, and which now brings about the enforcement of their upbringing, which is now their safeguard.
Thank you very much. And all those answers, I have my seniors here from the Department of Children's Services, from the National Council for Children's Services, and I don't know if they were to score you how they would, but I'm sure the scores are very high. And very good scores, right?
True.
Esther, good attempts, right? Yes, I have the endorsement from my seniors that you have made very good attempts at actually defining what child protection is. I just want to put everything you have said together and give you what is commonly agreed upon as the definition of child protection. Child protection is defined as prevention of and response to abuse, neglect, exploitation, and all forms of violence against children. I just want you to underscore those two words, prevention and response. We will not say child protection is child protection if we do not factor in prevention. What are we doing to make sure that harm does not take place? Because when we prevent harm, have we protected children? Have we? If you know something that would predispose a child to protection risks and you prevent it from happening, you have. They say prevention is better than cure, right? So we are calling it prevention of and response to. Why are we saying response to? Because sometimes harm happens, isn't it? And if you are not able to respond to harm once it has happened to children, then you have not protected children. So for you as a protector of children, and the protector that you are going to become from this forum going forward, you should be able to contribute in preventing, but also contribute in responding, right? So, and prevention and response to abuse, neglect, exploitation, and all forms of violence. By violence here we don't mean physical violence, kuchapa. The violence in the context of child protection is taken from the word violation. Violence against children. How do we violate? And what are we violating? Violating children's rights, right? Whatever thing that violates the children's rights is what we are talking about here. So, in a nutshell, child protection is the prevention of and response to abuse, neglect, exploitation, and all forms of violence against children. That is what is universally agreed upon as child protection. So, child protection, applying it in the online space still reads the same. How are you preventing children from experiencing harm online? Let's start by preventing. Because if we say we will wait until they are harmed, it will be too late and a lot of harm will have already happened. So for me, I really underscore the prevention aspect of it as opposed to just focusing on the response. Response ni wakati mtoto ashadhulumiwa mtandaoni, mtoto ameumia, amekuwa cyberbullied, watoto 10 wamejiua, and then you are coming, everybody is running. Sasa tutasaidia aje hawa watoto? It is always good to first have conversation around how can I, as a blogger, as a social media influencer, how can I stand to be counted in preventing harm online? And by extension, preventing harm to children on and offline. We are here talking about online. It's only that we have very little time, but we would talk about both off and online if we had the time. For the purposes of this forum, we are talking about prevention of harm online. So I think we are in a good place now to be able to look at ourselves in the context of protecting children and protecting children in the full definition of protecting. The laws of children are enshrined in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. When we talk about child rights, where our laws derive, where our laws draw content from in terms of protecting children, the mother of all child protection legislation is drawn from the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, and the 4 pillars of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. The first pillar is the 4 pillars of the UNCRC. The first pillar, one pillar is participation pillar. The second pillar is survival. The other pillar is development. The other pillar is protection. So the UNCRC is anchored upon 4 pillars, and those are the pillars of, they are called the UNCRC pillars. If we had time, we will go deeper into that, but we don't have time. Now, here we are just going to have very quick. Sorry, the slides are okay. Yeah. So we are going to. Before that, I want to ask a question. Just go back to, and we're gonna. Yeah. What do you think is your role now that we have understood what child protection is about? You are seeing yourself in that space as an influencer, as a blogger, as an actor in social media. What do you think is your role in preventing harm from happening to children? We're just going to brush past my slides, but this is a conversation. It's not a lecture, it's a conversation. I like it when it's participatory and interactive. So we will just make reference to the slides as we run, but the conversations are happening right now. What is your role in preventing harm from happening to children within the digital space? No answer is wrong. Just the way we define child protection, we can also sharpen each other in terms of understanding our roles.
She only has 5 minutes, so you answer when she asks.
You can imagine.
I think one, we can create awareness that there are.
You saw the slides, right? Okay, yes, we can create awareness. Continue.
There are those harms and
Yes.
how we can prevent them.
Very good. You can create awareness. How can you create awareness? Somebody else? Through?
Quick fire questions.
Education, maybe holding forums,
Mhm.
maybe online forums or physical forums like this one.
Exactly. Very good. How else? Remember, this is not exhaustive. Someone?
I would say also like having conversations about it, because I'm trying to think this conversation is amazing, but how many people know about the pillars of UNCRC, or how many people know even the definition of child protection? So also having a discussion about it, and then seeing back to the education as well.
Prompting conversations online, right? Yeah. Initiating conversations online on child protection so that people start talking about protection of children. Excellent. Yes?
Legislation.
Uh-huh.
We can have laws that, for lack of better word, punish those who put out content that could cause harm to children through exposing them to explicit content, and make it so severe that it is something that,
Yes, ensuring stringent legislation against online harm to children. And I must add, making sure that laws are relevant to the problems that are affecting children in the day. The Children Act, for example, which is the legislation that protects children, when it was written, we didn't know anything about AI, so there's need for regular review of this legislation to catch up with the tech advancements. Very good. Next.
I think calling out people who are actually using children for exploitative content.
I think
Times we forget
even teachers.
you're supposed to get consent from like parents, but you find a teacher is there videotaping kids, and it's actually not right. So
Calling it out and reminding people that I think this might has an issue. Reminding people that children also have rights and that their rights have to be respected.
Very important. You can play a role of reminding people that children have rights. And this makes me think, you're really researchers, aren't you? Do you keep researching all the time on content? So that you understand the rights of children, so that you can authoritatively engage people online and make them understand what laws are in existence and how to utilize these laws in protecting children. Very good. Reminding people constantly. Very good. Next, prevention. We're talking about prevention. What else can we do, or what else can be done in terms of prevention? What more? Think about yourself. Don't even think generally. Think about, I want you to focus on yourself. What else can you do?
Yeah, I think also talking to the kids.
Yes.
You know, because I really think sometimes we forget that children are also smart and they understand what's going on. So also maybe like if you have a small cousin or a small niece or nephew, you could also talk to them about it, like, did you know this, that? If you ever experience this, you can talk to your mom, talk to your auntie like that. So that also kids, they're the ones who will catch this more than we will. So for them to also have that confidence to speak up.
Very important. We say child participation is one pillar of the UNCRC. So engaging with children. There's also the common saying that Ratemo reminded us in the morning, that nothing for us without us. So how can we say that we are talking about their protection, yet we don't engage them even to know their protection needs. So forums for children, engaging with children, going to find out what are the issues that are affecting children from their horse's mouth is very key and critical. Very important point. Yeah, at the back.
Advocating for child rights protection organization. For example, yes, a public figure, I can connect them with CRALAF, yeah, on a side.
Exactly. Understanding who is protecting children and what are they doing, so that you as an influencer or as an actor in the social media, you're able to highlight this and these people do this and this. If you have this and this problem, go and you can get help from here. Very key and very, very important. Now that we are being chased by time, let's just see whether there is anything extra in addition to what we have just discussed. Yes, the next, first slide. So we're talking about public awareness campaigns. This is something that we can do that has already been said. The media is essential in informing the public about the nature and impact of online child sexual exploitation and abuse, how perpetrators use technology. You can have content on how perpetrators use technology. Remember, children are experiencing harms online because most of the children, the biggest percentage of children are those who don't know the harms online. Inakuja inawapata tu. When pop-ups come and the children start looking at indecent content, it is something that many children don't know how to react to. So, helping children to know. You know how, you as an adult, you know how perpetrators nab children online. How can you work with that? So public awareness on online grooming, sexual extortion, sextortion, you know, all that. How does grooming happen? You can do something on grooming so that children are able to understand. Literacy promotion, digital literacy promotion. Media can support and promote digital safety education on online safety resources available. And this is not just to children, it is also to caregivers. Remember, when I was given an opportunity to say something here, I said the biggest elephant in the room is caregivers who don't know how to protect their children online. How are we targeting caregivers with information on how to protect their children? Remember, online harm is happening to children even as young as 3 years old. These are children who are predominantly under the care of their caregivers. So it makes a lot of sense to target caregivers with knowledge and equipping them with the tools. We are saying tools, not rules, to navigate online risks safely. Remember, there are benefits online, so we cannot say mtoto asipewe simu. Even the education system nowadays, it almost forces the child to go online. So it's important for the child to be not to be denied the phone, but to be helped to understand how to use the phone responsibly, and for the necessary regulations and restrictions to be done by the government to make sure our children harvest or benefit from the good side of the internet. Next. We're talking about advocacy and for policy and legislation. That one we've already underscored. Through responsible reporting and editorials, the media can advocate for stronger legislative and policy frameworks that require social media platforms and internet service providers to actively contribute to child safety online. As we speak right now, it is not very clear who regulates tech companies. It is not very clear, and they are really taking advantage of that. I keep repeating one experience that I had when one of the tech companies had invited us for a workshop, and I said, why, you know the harms online, you know what it is doing to children, why don't you put a caution? For example, those who manufacture cigarettes say, cigarette smoking is harmful to you, yet they want money and they manufacture cigarettes. They manufacture cigarettes, yet they put that notice. Why, knowing how toxic and harmful online harms are to children, why don't you put that as well and say, Irresponsible engagement in the digital space is harmful to your life. I want to say to your life, because have people taken their own lives or even their lives taken because of engagement in the digital space? Yes. So they need, then what they told me when I asked them that, they said, hello, it's a business. Somebody needs to make us. Somebody needs to make us do that. It's not, I mean, it's not their work to police themselves, right? So that's what they told me. They said, yeah, we know that, but you know, it's a business, someone needs to make us. So there needs to be stringent regulations and restrictions on what content to put online. So we have told, so what advocacy do we need to do? We need to be clear on what advocacy issues we need to run with. What are the gaps? Make noise about the gaps so that our children are better protected online. Why are there these pop-ups? Why? Can something be done about it? We need something done about it. A child is innocently doing, I heard it from a child's mouth. Mimi nilikuwa tunafanya homework, vitu zikajile. Nilikuwa tunafanya homework, vitu zikajileta. So kwa nini vitu zinajileta? We need to create a state of discontent, vitu zisijilete. Collaboration with experts, that is very important. That's one thing you can do. You know, find a way in these workshops where these conversations are happening. Expand your knowledge so that your voice is also being counted when voices are being heard. Collaboration with experts. Ethical reporting is best achieved when journalists and editors, social media actors partner with law enforcement. Like, you need to know all the hotlines. You need to know who to go to when for what. You need to have an inventory of all those contacts. Because mtoto akikupigia ama mtoto akiingia kwa nini yako alafu akuuliza mimi nitafanya nini, mnamwambia nini. You need to have this knowledge in your fingertips so that you can also contribute in protecting children, preventing and responding. So when you collaborate with experts, now you are placing yourself in a good place to respond when harms have happened. So this ensures access to reliable sources and accurate, timely information for the public without compromising ongoing work or victim welfare. You know, sometimes, and you need to, I'm very happy that through this launch, CRALAF is promising to bring you together regularly so that your skills in protecting children in the digital space and in advocating for children are sharpened. So what we are saying is that in the name of protecting children, so many people have exposed children to harm. Because of lack of knowledge, limited knowledge, in your heart you want to protect them, but in the process of protecting them, because you don't know how to go about it the right way, you expose them to harm. So it's important for you to collaborate with the necessary people, to enter in the necessary spaces to be able to protect children. I know I'm being chased by time, but I like when the audience understands what we are doing. Any question up to that point? Any question? Okay. Yes. Question. Someone, the mic? You're the mic. She needs the mic. She has a question.
You can start, I will get it to you. Where am I bringing the mic?
Behind.
When you were starting off, you talked about consent, and I was curious. So many, especially influencers, they like posting their kids, and then when people screenshot and save those photos, because people on the internet are very weird, and people will take photos and save them and use them for their own things. I'm curious, the child cannot consent to their parents opening them an account and commenting on their account, "Mommy is taking me out," and all those. Is it now for the parent to, is that consent now on the parent's role or the child's role? Because even if you go and report, you're the ones who posted the photo. So what am I supposed to do with that?
Okay. Anybody with a response to that one? Who wants to attempt responding to that one? In terms of consenting. There's
given the consent.
Is that clear?
The parent or maybe the guardian.
Did you get the answer right? Sorry, someone was
Please
saying.
repeat. As long as the child is below 18, the responsibility of consent is on the parent or the guardian, someone who is above 18. So meaning if any time I post my child online, I've already consented to it. I'll also give, I know siku hizi watoto wanawekwa TikTok and all that in school, sindio? The teacher should not give the consent. It's the parent who should give the consent on the same. Even using your kid on billboards, it's the parent who should be asked. The parent or the guardian. The kid cannot give the consent, the teacher cannot give the consent.
Very clear, very clear. So below the age of consent, you cannot engage with the child, and it has been specified who can provide consent. Okay, good. So I'm being harassed by Zainabu. She's actually threatening that I'm Takula.
Yes, honestly.
I've been told if we're not there by 1:40, nobody's getting food. So maybe I'm being told we can get our meals and come back and
Okay, we'll try to make it faster so that we catch up with the program. Okay, the last one.
I was just saying, it doesn't mean that you can't educate parents on the dangers. It doesn't mean that you can't, this mic doesn't like me. It doesn't mean that you can't educate parents on the dangers of posting their children online. Because I remember even for me, my nephew is now 19, but I used to post it, not a lot, but once in a while.
But it reached a point where we don't post him, even when he was a bit younger. Even I don't post him. If I post him, I must ask him. So you can educate parents on the dangers of posting their kids. Yes, they can give consent, but just because they can doesn't mean that it is the right thing.
Thank you very much. My biggest passion in child protection, I mentioned that, is parenting, because I know how critical parenting is, and community empowerment, strengthening of the community-based mechanism. If we get that right, then almost 3/4 of protection risks of children will be addressed. Well, colleagues, you're just having a taste of what we will be having regularly. This one is just a feel of how our workshops are going to be. If all your questions are not answered because we only have one day to do this, just know that this is how we are going to be engaging. We'll pick a topic and unpack it. This one we haven't unpacked exhaustively, but we will continue doing that through the facilitators who will be working with us. So let's just skim through them. Now we've talked a bit about prevention. Those are excellent things that you have said and that we have discussed here that you can do. Now we are talking about response. We said child protection will not be child protection if we don't talk about both prevention and response. And now we are saying social media has become a central part of both problem and response. Why I'm saying social media has become a part of the problem is because the problem is therein, but the response cannot. We can use the same also to generate help for children through the same online platform. So some of the things that social media has contributed to risk in children's lives is social media platforms such as Facebook, WhatsApp, Insta, and are the most common platforms where online child sexual exploitation and abuse occurs. We know that. And we know that most offenders are known to the child. So a child will engage with a person who they are familiar with, not known in terms of them being relatives, but having interacted with the child. That is now, it leads to grooming. They start by being very good people, rewards and everything. Then, by virtue of being known to the child in that manner, they abuse the children. Again, responding, you can inform the government bodies that are in existence on these harms online, and you can participate as a contributor to what needs to be done to the perpetrator. Let's move. Reporting, of course, I would have asked you to talk about how you can respond, but now we'll just pass through this so that we are released for lunch. reporting. While many children prefer to report abuse to trusted friends or family, social media is being used to disseminate information about information. You can use your power as an influencer, as a blogger and all that to be able to highlight, flag abuse. Yeah. Advocacy and policy, findings of research, recommendations are shared in platforms. Like, for example, you will not know what is happening in the world if you're not reading. So please read more to be able to help children know what is happening within the child protection space and educate people. Did you know kind of information so that you're able to open people's eyes to the protection issues of children. The response involves encouraging users, organizations, and the tech industry to work collaboratively through social media to ensure a safer digital environment for children. Call out people who help children. Let them stand to be counted in terms of what are you doing, and even highlighting what they are doing so that the populace may know how to respond in issues affecting children. Next. Okay, so here we are very quickly looking at, I'm not worried about you understanding the ethics. Those who are media personalities or actors in the media space know what ethics govern your practice. So we are just going through it very quickly. Media ethics in reporting, OXEA, the things to underscore is sensitivity, anonymity, accuracy, and minimizing harm. How are you being sensitive in the way you are reporting? To what extent are you exposing? How accurate is this information? Are you working with rumors or are you using accurate information? To what extent does this minimize harm? We say as a counselor, we have parameters where we cannot promise you that we will keep what you have told us secret. Like, for example, if you leave my room and my counseling room and you tell me mimi nakujua usidanganye, utapatana na polisi hapo mbele kwa sababu I'm protecting your life. So there are instances where even as a counselor you cannot keep the secrecy part of our vow. Next. So we know best interest, for example, the child's well-being and safety are paramount. We are looking at key ethical principles. So the best interest principle, avoid actions that could expose a victim to negative reprisal, additional harm or social stigma. Be very careful about that. We will ask the conveners to share this. Because you have shared your email address, these slides will be shared with you so that you can keep looking at them. You don't have to write them. Anonymity and privacy, that one we have looked at it. You should be aware of changing, you should find a way of always changing the name and obscure the visual identity of the child. I see people, because you want people to be excited or to be very empathetic about an issue, you even show the face of the child or whatever happened. That is unethical. Informed consent, this word has been going around since we came. Someone is even asking, did you ask us to take our pictures? So I apply it even in children. Informed consent. My colleague here has unpacked what informed consent is all about and who needs to consent and to what age limit is below the age of consent. Let's move to so we conclude. Of course, we have talked about accuracy. I don't need to preempt that to say more about that. Minimizing harm, reporters must be sensitive when dealing with children and inexperienced sources. Independence. Journalists must avoid conflicts of interest and resist pressure from political, commercial, or other special interests that might influence coverage and compromise integrity. So just because a politician feels they can get some political mileage in what you are doing, they make you do things that are unethical. Be independent, be guided by your own ethical principles, and do not yield to any politician or someone else who may have a vested interest in what you are doing. Smooth. So, this is just a summary of good practices for reporters. You should collaborate with law enforcement, utilize reliable sources and ensure all facts are verified. be cautious about identifying criminal suspects before formal charges are filed. Sasa kuita mtu criminal kabla hajapelekwa through the legal system, the case may actually not be, I mean, it may not be the case. So if you are calling somebody a criminal and they are not being taken to court, surely that is very unfair. So don't hype something on social media, branding somebody a criminal when they have not been proved a criminal. Also, frame stories in a solution-based manner. Usikue mtu wa kueneza rumors, sinyo, so that something looks very bad without even coming up with a solution. You want to amplify the problem and leave it like that. Let your engagement be solution-based. So, tufanye nini about this? So that you are solution-based. Focus on awareness, prevention, and support systems rather than sensitizing the abuse. This child was raped. And this person did this and that, and you leave it at that. Please go the extra mile and talk about what needs to be done. Talk about how this can be prevented. Small. Consult the Media Council of Kenya Code of Conduct for the practice of journalism and other professional guidelines. I know you know this, so we cannot exhaust this here, but we have guidelines, legislation, and all that can guide you on how to go into the depth of ensuring ethical reporting. Ensure that content, including advertisements, does not encourage or glorify social evils related to abuse. Sometimes we want to get the flavor. This evil has happened. Let's not glorify the abuse. Like you talk 90% about the abuse and only 10% about how the abuse can be prevented or responded to. These ethics are essential for maintaining our trust and ensuring media plays a constructive role in addressing OTSEA, not an exploitative one. How social media can exploit children is what we have just said, talking about what the issue affecting the issue more than how the child can be helped. You become an exploiter of children. You are using children to generate stories and appeal to people's empathy and mercy by talking about the harm that is happening to children without talking about how the child can be helped. What's the next slide? Project it so that Zainab can be happy.
Yes.
All right. I've never facilitated within such a short time with lots of content that we can take even a week, but I just want to give you a gist of what we will be doing going forward. Thank you very much for engaging.
I'm sorry, Eunice. I'm sorry. Desperate times call for desperate measures. If you haven't received your food voucher, looks like something like this. Tafadhalini, saizi nasema the room is safe. Leave your laptop, leave everything. Toroko kule ama chakula. Alafu turudi. So this next session, it will be now the training. Ibrahim is here. It will be more engaging. And then after Ibrahim, we're going to have Esther as we continue. But please, can we try and eat within 30 minutes and be back so that we can continue with it.